Hi guys, this is Debbie at Debbie J's Crafting Corner. So I hope that you are having a great day and ready to do watercoloring with some colored markers. If you're in, go ahead and switch over to live chat and let me know that you're here and where you are watching from. I'd really love to know. While we're waiting for a couple more people to come in, I'm going to finish assembling what I had started earlier today. I was wanting to I decided I was going to play with my Arteza markers and hadn't really decided how I was going to use them yet, so I put together a few different cards and, or rather, I'm assembling a few different cards that I think turned out pretty well, and I'd like to get you guys' opinion on there and let me know, what you think and what you'd like to go. Let's finish putting this panel together. They don't have the sentiments on them yet, but I can always add them later or just add a sentiment on the inside of each of these. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just let you know what each of these are. A couple of these have not been fully assembled yet, but that's perfectly fine. First one, this one was made using a layering stamp, and I used the watercolor markers. This is my set of Arteza. I've got 12. I decided to start off with just a few since I wasn't sure if this is the medium I was really going to enjoy, but I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. So I made this one with a different, it's from a layering stamp set from Hero Arts, and I just used 4 of the markers, I think, on the stamps themselves to stamp those out. Same kind of deal with this one. It's the same stamp set, and for one of the layers I used less layers, and for one of the layers I decided to do a little heat embossing, and this is actually the one that's the best. This one is a bit more modern. This one is a stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I decided to use that technique with inking the back of the stamp to put the color down, and I how that one turned out. And then for this, I decided to go ahead and do a standard watercolor panel using a big stamp set from Colorado Craft Company, the Holly and Berries, and just watercolored that using the markers. Now, that's something that I'm not really used to doing, but it was fun. I need to get a little better at that, so I do need a bit more practice, but I love the way that it turned out. I actually did a big panel with 2 images, and the same image twice, but painted them at the same time, and it just turned out so lovely. And looking at the playback, I can't tell if you can tell that this actually has a light blue, a bluish, purplish blue, cool blue watercolor background as well, kind of as a wash. And I just think that's going to be a very pretty card once I trim it down and put it on a base. So, I'm going to just go ahead and get started. I guess I will just start off with the easiest ones first. Ones where we're going to be using the stamps, and then if time permits, I'll go ahead and do the other, which is the watercoloring, and I do have several stamp sets here to pull from. As usual, I'm going to use my my stamp platform from Tim Holtz, and let's see, this is the one that I used earlier to get that pretty look. I've got a second one from the same Hero Arts as well. This one, I know I've used it before, but it's not as forgiving, I don't think. This one really gets this really cool, doesn't really line it up right. It is so easy to do this layering. You basically just try to get the top of the tree and the center to line up around where, you know, the branch is going to be, but it just looks so darling. So I think I'm going to try this one anyway, since I haven't done one of those today. Start off with that. Get this out of the way. And unlike what I did before, I'm going to use a watercolor panel for this one. That way I can add as much water as I want to. Hi Carmen, how are you doing today, honey? So I'm going to start off with this full coverage stamp. And you can tell I haven't used them in a while. They are getting a little bit stuck. Go ahead and center that middle there. Do want a kind of an evergreen look, so I am going to put down some darker greens. To start off with, I think I'm going to use this light green color. And you guys are going to love this. This is so stinking easy to do. Put it on your platform. And I'm just going to color on the back of that that stamp. Haven't used this stamp in at least a year, so I have no idea if I'm going to have problems with it. But I'm going to give it a shot anyway. And to give it a little bit more of a watercolor look, I'm going to use my distress sprayer. Spray that down. And just stamp that right. And that looks too cool. I do think I want to put a second layer of that same one though. I'm going to dry this just a little bit. Me too, Carmen. I'm glad that you caught me here. Although, you know, watching the replays is fine as well. But I like getting to chat with you guys, so thank you. I'm going to put a little bit more of that color down. Still is just my light green marker. Spritz a little bit. And I don't know if you caught the very beginning or not, Carmen, but I made a bunch of different little cards using these markers from Arteza. One of them that I'm kind of replicating but using a different stamp set is this one. It's got a nice watercolor look. This is a Hero Art stamp set for I think it's called Christmas Trees. Both sets actually have the exact same name, but anyway, I will leave a link to them below if you guys are interested at all in that. But you just layer up the different ones, and what's really cool with these is it doesn't have to be exact. I'm just going to be putting the color down and seeing how it turns out, and that looks pretty. I like it. So let me go ahead and clean off this stamp. I'm going to put down a second stamp. This one, let's go a little bit darker. I think I'm going to go with this one, just to add a little bit of darkness to those branches. See them a little bit. And I think I used the stamp, the last time I remember using the stamp was probably about 2 years ago. So I may get my lining up completely wrong, but I'm hoping it's going to be as nice as that other one where it doesn't really matter. So for this layer, I'm going to go ahead and use this darker green marker. And these are the Arteza Real Brush pens. They are water-based pens, so you get to do watercoloring types of techniques with them. Let's put some of that color down. Give it a light spritz, and then just press it down. It's like I'm slightly out of frame. Let me show you guys. Okay, that does add a little bit of dimension there, but I think I need more, and it looks like I didn't have quite enough color up at the top, so let's add some more. You don't have to spritz it with the water, but I do think that it gives a little bit of a better watercolor look, which means it can be as messy as you want, and that looks kind of cool. I like that. I think for this next layer, this one, which is also some branches. What I'm going to do with it is I'm going to go back over it with that first lighter color. So it'll be another layer of the lighter color, but that should darken it up a little bit. So that's going to be this one. I think I do have it a little bit lined up wrong. So this stamp set is one that you have to be a little more careful with lining it up. But it's a tree. Trees grow in all sorts of different ways, so it really doesn't matter a whole lot because nature isn't perfect. Add some more of that. This time I'm going to go ahead and put one layer down, at least one stamping, without wetting the stamp. See how that does. I'm going to do instead I do still think that it looks pretty cool though. Again, instead of using a stamp pad, I'm just using some watercolor markers. So for the rest of this, let's see, what else do I want to do with it? This one kind of needs some white. Okay, that's what I'll do then. I'm going to go ahead and do this layer, this last layer, I'll do on there, but I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss that with some white embossing powder. That'll add some snow. Okay. So first I got my anti-static powder tool. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and just use some Recollections, mostly because I need to use this stuff up. I do absolutely love Wow embossing powder, but I'm not going to waste what I've already got. I do have Wow as well, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to waste. This thing's pretty much full. I don't want to waste it. I want to use it up and then just not get it again. I mean, it works fine, but Wow is so much better because you have to, if you forget to use your embossing tool, like I do so much, it's more forgiving. It doesn't, as long as you leave the stuff in in the jar it came in, you're good to go. Just inking that up with some Versamark. I'll just put some of this powder. Doesn't do overpowering. The stamp that I used was this one. Doesn't have a lot on the branches, but it has enough. Actually, it was this one. Has enough so it's going to make some nice snow. My heat tool has not been heated up, so it may take a minute to start melting. There we go. You see that? Oh yeah. That is pretty. I like that. And what's fun is something simple like this, you don't really have to add a whole lot to it. I'm thinking a simple sentiment across it, maybe in gold, and your card's done. And that took what? 10 minutes? 15 minutes maybe? Took no time at all. And if you've got everything set up, you could do, definitely you could do, excuse me, you could do ITR. Oh, TR, by the way, I did get your card. It is sitting on my kitchen table right now. I have not opened it yet. When we get stuff in, because of the whole pandemic thing, we've decided, although, you know, we're probably fine anyway, we've decided that all mail has to sit at least 24 hours before we're going to open it, just to be on the safe side. So what I'm planning on doing is once everybody gets in their cards and stuff for our swap, I'll go ahead and do a video with kind of happy mail and share what I got. So you guys will get to see what everybody sent. So thank you so much for the card though, honey. I appreciate it. Yeah, kind of because of COVID. As it is, you know, we don't think that there's really that much to worry about. My husband he's an engineer, and he does, he's one of those people that does so much research, which is good for me. That means that I get to find out what's going on a lot of things without having to do the research myself. But from what he's been telling me, we basically, when it comes to this, this virus, it's about the same impact as the flu has had every year. So, I know it can be more dangerous, so we are still being as careful as possible, but you know how that goes. Okay, I think before I started chatting with you, I was going to put a sentiment on this, so you guys can help me decide what to put on there. Like I said, this is a simple tree, but that'll make a real pretty, clean, and simple card. Kind of like what I did with this other one. This is one done with another of the Hero Arts stamps. This is one of the Hero Arts Christmas tree color layering stamp sets. They've got at least 2 that I know of, and this one just has a more realistic tree. So this one does have a star and does have little ball on there, so I could go ahead and put some ornaments on there too. I'm gonna do that. This is a little bit warped, but it should still be okay. For that, I'm gonna just take out having to go in all my drawers and stuff. Okay. Get out an acrylic block to do that part. And I think I'm gonna emboss these in gold. That would be. So again, I've got out some of my Recollections embossing powder. This with an static bag. And I'm just going to put that little star up at the top. To be honest, I can't even tell if it's on there. That's one of the things I dislike about embossing on clear. I can't friggin' see it. Well, let's see if anything stuck. Yep, we have a star. We have a crooked star, but we have a star. Star on top. Next, I'm going to put on a couple of those Christmas balls. Of course, just hoping that it actually, embossing powder did actually go. Some in and hit that with the heat tool. Okay, I do think we need a little red though. So, ooh, there's another ball in this set. I didn't realize that. So this one also has a second Christmas ball, so what I'm going to do with it, I think I'm going to add some little red balls on there. I have some red embossing powder that I never use. Go ahead and get out. And this is a bright red. It's Whispers. I don't know if they even still make it anymore. Like I said, I've got it and I never use it. I think I've had that at least 3 years. I know that's not a long time to a lot of you guys who've been card making longer than me, but that's when I started. I started card making in 2017. It's only been 3 years. Okay, get that acrylic block again. Put the little ball on there. Put some in some spots. Just like you would on your Christmas tree. Let's see how that red does. So we've only got a few weeks left till Christmas. So how are you guys doing on all of your Christmas crafting and Christmas cards and shopping and all that good stuff? Got everything done, or are you waiting to the last minute like I do? The cards I make, I keep going with that. But when it comes to the other things, like doing the shopping, I am so bad at that. Right now, I don't want to leave the house at all, so I'm basically staying home. And my husband is very hard for me to shop for. He has for so long just bought whatever he wanted whenever he wanted that I have no idea what to get him. And I do have one thing coming for him. I'm getting him some hot sauce. I can say that because he's not in the house right now. But got some hot sauce coming for him because he asked for it. And his mom is one that she comes in, that's the way that his family's always done. They always know exactly what they're getting because they tell each other what they want. I think that looks really pretty. I think that would go real good on some stocks to do with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and add a sentiment. Although I am going to be cutting the panel down, but if I center it above or below the tree, that should be fine. So we've got holiday wishes and we have Merry Christmas. And I think I'm going to add Merry Christmas mostly because this one, it's not really a winter card and it wouldn't go for other holidays. Most of all those little baubles and stuff with the tree. That like I'm gonna have to use one of my magnets. Hope it doesn't mess with stamping. Because this guy is now a little warped, so it's not gonna want to stay still. So to get Christmas right underneath. Go ahead, some Versamark, that down. I'm with you, TR. I think that's what we're gonna do for anybody that's not. Just realized something. I did not hit this with my powder bag again. I told you I forget to do that a lot. Hopefully that won't mess things up. At least I can see now where I stamped the first time. That's one of the funny things. Is like you put some embossing ink down and then you put the powder over and you can see where you stamped. Okay. Down. At Recollections gold. That's gonna be there. Embossing powder up. Debbie and Miss TR both have got some shopping to do. TR is going to do gift cards. And that actually works perfect with what we do, because you can do a real special card to go, you know, greeting card, Christmas card to go with it, and that makes the perfect gift. I've been watching a lot of the Hobson stuff such that have been going on lately, and some of those folks have got some really cool ideas. So I'm watching. So that good for that one. So I'm going to trim it down, and I think what I'll wind up doing for my final card is backing it with this red foil cardstock as a mat, and that'll bring out the red a little bit more and make that pop. So for you guys that weren't here at the very beginning, don't worry, you can go back and rewatch it if you like. I decided today that I was going to play with my Arteza brush markers. These are water-based markers, and I've only got the 12 count set. The reason I've got that is I wanted to try them out, see how I like them before deciding to commit to something more. And so, since I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them, you know me, I'm kind of seedy the pants, I went ahead and did a few different ones. I started off with this stamp set. This is another Hero Art stamp set. It is a color layering Christmas tree, and it's not as exact. This one is more realistic, and this one is kind of artsy, I guess is the best word. So I think this is so cool. And so I started off just playing with it as, you know, like with watercolor. And so you can see kind of everything is a little bit smeared and smushed, and that's fine. And there were some areas that I didn't really get the red in that I wanted, so I just took the marker and drew some more dots in. That worked out really well. Then I did a second one similar, but decided to do some heat embossing, and that was the one that is inspiring this idea. Decided I was going to do the same kind of thing, but just use a different one of the sets. Then I'm use this one that is from Simon Says Stamp. That is the Festive trees, I think it is. And so what I wound up doing is I stamped it with the emboss and embossed the trees, and then I flipped the stamps over and used the markers on the back and spritzed them down with water, and I absolutely love that look. And then as the last one that I was doing just to play with, I went ahead and used a Colorado & Company big stamp. This one is the Holly and Berries, and just watercolored a big panel with 2 of them on there, and of course I cut it in half so it's going to make 2 cards, and then I can do a heat embossed sentiment on there. So for my next trick, which card would you like for me to try, or which technique would you like for me to try next? You want me to do this or this. I just figured we'd go ahead and get started with the simplest one, the fastest one, and then move forward with there and let you guys decide what you'd like to do. TR, you've done better than me when it comes to oh, okay. I was thinking you, thanks TR, I thought you were telling me that Carmen was asking me something, so I needed to go back and look. TR has got her decorating and stuff up. I have got one of those Atmos videos that as soon as it gets dark, which it's starting to, I can turn on in the window, and that's all I've gotten done so far. Anyhow. I do not have any little people in my house anymore. My girls both are grown. Both of them were in their 30s. My eldest passed away last year, though. And these are my stepdaughters, so I haven't, since their father passed away, and that's been, a long time ago. But since he passed away, I really haven't had that much connection with them. Although I really wish they would have contacted me. But it is what it is, so we just keep on moving forward, right guys? So I think I'm going to go ahead. Right now we are at a half hour. So time permitting, this one is going to take, doing a watercolor over embossing is going to take longer than this. This would take a couple of minutes probably. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this one first because it's going to be real quick, and then you can decide you want me to move forward and do a watercolor or not. I'm just showing you a couple of different techniques you can use with your stamps. That Simon Says stamp set has got, and I pulled out a bunch of things that I could play with. Like this one is from Altenew that I think would be pretty cool. Actually, that would be kind of cool. This could be the background, then you could do another color there. Got these cute little gnomes. I'm in Florida, so I have to have some flamingos. We've got this set from Altenew. I've actually got two of the holly. This one is from Essentials by Ellen. Another Altenew set, and this is the one that I did those circle trees from. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I think I'm going to go ahead. I think I'm going to go ahead and do one of these, but I think I'm going to do the hearts instead of the... Yeah, I think I'm going to do the hearts instead of the circles this time. Does this tell you I've had a lot of things that I wanted to play with? So TR is saying she likes the trio of trees and she also likes the holly. Going to be smart again this time, and the last set of cards that I was doing, most of them were on regular cardstock, which is reason for most of the warping, and one of them is kind of trying to stamp all the way through it, which is... This time I think I'm going to just do the pretty little hearts. And I think I'll still go with the gold embossing. So, anti-static bag. And then Versamark on stamp. And just going to stamp that down in the middle. And I'm going to, because I don't know exactly where the stamping is, I'm going to go ahead and emboss each time I lay anything down. Oh, that is so cute! Yeah, I know, TR, everybody's had a hard year this year. I just love the look of embossing when it melts. I mean, even though I know it's been hard for a lot of folks staying home, I was already kind of stuck at home because I was sick last year. We weren't sure what was wrong or what was going on, but I was having a real hard time breathing. And I definitely couldn't be talking this long like I am right now. This one up. And I still have a bit of a cough, Again, we don't really know why. This time last year, my pulmonologist had told me that, you know, she was not sure what was going on. She had actually had me go to see someone about sleep apnea, and I got something that helped with that, and then they had me go to Mayo Clinic, see if they could do some more tests and figure out what was going on. So they basically wound up finding out that, number one, I had been told that they thought I had asthma, which I do not have. I was told that I was allergic to pretty much everything, which I'm not. And then, darn it. Anyway, they said that I was allergic to everything, which it turns out that I'm not, which is great. And other than that, we're not sure why I've still got the cough. And because of everything that happened with everyone's health and not being able to get appointments. Don't say that. I'm one of those people that I know I talk too much, or at least I did before I got sick. That's why this is really awesome, that I'm actually able to talk a lot. Anyway, the doctors... And basically, I haven't been able to get back to see them, I think, because their scheduling is kind of messed up. I mean, that's just the way it is. You haven't... I remember my husband had a tooth issue and couldn't get in to get a root canal because everything stopped working. The doctors weren't able to let you come in and such because, you know, COVID. I try not to say that because who knows... YouTube may decide that I'm not allowed to talk about that. But we're live, so, you know, they can get rid of the video. Really bother. I'm happy that things are going better and people aren't sick. You know, I've heard about a couple of people that I'm friends with catching it, but they're doing fine, so that is awesome. Anyway, the hardest thing I think for us has been my husband's been working from home most of the time anyway prior, and now he's home full time instead of just 3 days a week. So now he has to put up with me all day long every day. And have you guys noticed that your family is having to put up with you? I'm joking around with that because I actually like having him around and such, and I think he doesn't mind having me around too. But it's kind of funny, you know, we used to... No, TR, I do not. I have not been tested, and my illness came in at the end of 2018. It's really, really weird. I caught a cold after coming back from vacation that year, and then it just never went away, and I was getting short of breath. And when I told my doctor I wanted to see get referred to a pulmonologist, and they did it, which is, but when I went to the pulmonologist, when I was in there for that first visit, it was really, really odd because okay, I was wondering why I wasn't hearing from you, Miss Carmen. No, but when I went to the doctor that time, they did an ambulatory stress test. It's basically they put an oxygen sensor on your finger and have you walk. Why am I putting that away? I need to have it out. But then they have you walk, and then what happens is I'll basically just do a walk. So what happened with me is I did a walk, but my blood oxygen dropped down to 84, and it's supposed to be in the 90s. Actually supposed to be between 94 and 98, and it dropped to 84, and she sent me to the ER. They never did tell me any kind of a reason why that happened, though. I still don't know. Okay, so now we have 3 little heart trees, and I am going to stamp over them. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up, instead of having the stamp with the grooves face down, I'm going to do it with the flat side face down over that. And then I'm going to color it with one of my watercolor markers. I mean, you could do this with watercolor inks, any dye-based ink, whatever you choose to. It would be, I mean, I think it would look awesome regardless. So which color should I go with on this one? The first card I did in orange, teal, and blue. And orange, red, and blue. I did the teal first, and I thought, oh my god, that is so pretty. That's basically the blue that's included in this set, the light blue. This one, I think I'm going to go a little bit more traditional, so I'll start off with red in the middle. Actually, these are hearts, so you could use this for any kind of, I would say you could basically do a heart tree for Valentine's Day. That would be cool. So again, just like I did before, I'm just coloring on the stamp. And then I'm going to add spritz. I think I did a little bit too much on that one, so it's going to have, that'll be a good watercolor look. Now let's see what that looks like. I think I pressed too hard, but that is still pretty bad. To go ahead and actually I am going to dry this a little bit. Reason being, I don't really want the ink to go into the next one. This side is pretty much dry, so I'm going to go ahead and just do this tree next. And again, I'm putting it with the stamp side up, flat side down. That up with the door. For this one, I think I'm going to go orange. Kind of thinking, you know, red and yellow make orange, and then red and blue make purple, so I think I'll do purple. This time I'll try to do a lighter misting. And give me just a second. My husband is calling me. Just a sec. Okay, he forgot that I was doing this, and he was stopping by Sam, so he also forgot the list. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this side, and we're gonna go in purple. Oh, like I said, we're not doing stamp side down, we're doing flat side down. Hey Carmen, we just had my in-laws over for Thanksgiving, and they wore masks for the first 2 days while they were here. They came down from Ohio. They were thinking about coming back for Christmas because they normally go to Germany to see my brother-in-law during Christmas, but with everything going on, apparently they would have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks when they got there, and that's just not going to happen. So instead, they're thinking of possibly coming back in March. I think that needs a little bit more purple, and I think I need it to go a little bit further to the outside. I had it a little too far over, or it may have slipped. There's a little bit of water on here, and that does cause your stamps to slip a little bit. Go back in. Gonna add a little bit of blue though. Side. Again, I put it the wrong side up. So used to doing stamping where you have to do the stamp side down that I keep forgetting I'm doing the other side down. I think they had a decent vacation and everything with us, but being in quarantine for 2 weeks would probably not be fun. And they're really, really, really active, so they really like going places and doing things all the time. I mean, they wore me out. I was like, I had hops that I needed to get ready for and such, and I wanted to do crafting and they wanted to go to the zoo, or they wanted to go look at the botanical gardens. We wound up going to Lou Gardens one day. So it was fun. Still. Okay, so that looks pretty good, I think. I think this one might need a little bit more orange. One thing though, if you don't really want that whole water look effect, you could always go in with the marker and color in wherever you want to. But this time I think I do want to put a little bit more orange down with that watercolor look. I haven't decided if I like this one as much as I do that first one that I did. The first one I just absolutely. Doing it mostly on the outside. I put the ink mostly on the outside over here because that's the side that doesn't have as much of the color. Just adding a little there. Okay, that looks like it's gonna work. No, I think there was still a little bit of the purple and blue on there because you see there's a brown kind of muddy look on that one. So you do have to be careful of that when you're using your. But that panel, I'm just going to set that one aside to dry. It's going to be cute. I'm still thinking, I think I like this one better. You guys tell me what you think. Do you like the circles or the hearts? Let's see if I can get there. Now you can see the hearts a little. And I think I like the circles better. Do you believe I've had this stamp set in my stash at least a year, probably two. I don't remember now, and I had never used it. Okay, so we are now at 45 minutes. And if you want, I can go ahead and do one more. The other technique that I had done. What did I do with my stamp sets? The other technique that I had done previously was doing watercolor with them, so I can do another one of those. And this is the stamp set that I used for that. I think I have some others in here, so you guys can just let me know what you think. You want to keep going, or you guys want to say goodnight? As I can do some watercoloring with this one is Holly and Berries from Colorado Craft. This one is the Happy Pomegranate from Alta New. This one's another one that's Holly. This one is from Ellen. And these others I could... This one I think would do good with that technique because of the solid pieces. I think I'm going to do that later. But these guys could just stamp them out with some black embossing and try coloring. Okay, TR really wants to see the Holly and Berries. So this one has 2 berries. It's real big. This one is I think I'm going to do this image. It's got a lot more going on, but I haven't played with it, so I have no idea how I'm going to. So I'm going to give that one a shot. So get this piece out of the way. I keep getting ahead of myself. It's like I need to stamp it before I do anything else, right? There is a watercolor panel. This one I think I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing, including the sentiment. I like that merry and bright. I do want to do like 2. Okay, this panel is big enough to do 2 cards, so I think I'm going to go ahead and just do top and bottom, and then oh yeah, I think that'll work. So I can just stamp it out, turn it around, and then stamp it again, and that'll be static bag. Versamark. this time I think I'm going to go with gold embossing. The last one I did with clear embossing, and that looks fine. See that here? But I have to admit, this image is kind of sketchy, and I had trouble seeing where the lines were. So I think on this one, instead, I'm going to use the gold. That way I can see it. Turn it around. Stamp it down again. I have seen pictures and such of those stamp sets. I haven't tried any of them yet, though. Mostly because I discovered their existence this year, and I have been mostly on a no spend at all. I've been real big this year on just using what's in my stash. Oh, that is gonna... that. And I am no watercolor expert. I am just learning, which is one reason why I absolutely love watching Christina Werner, Sally Elnock, because they both know exactly what they are awesome at this stuff. And then you've got other folks that say that they're not that good at it, that I think that they're awesome at it too. You know, like Amy R. Everything she does looks so awesome. So that's not stamped as, but that is not Hallmark. Trying to just get enough on there so I can see it. I mean, there's some places that didn't quite do, like you can see there's a line there that's not in gold like it needs to be. But I'm not going to restamp it. This is good enough. And then we have the magic happening of the embossing powder melting. I think everybody loves that. I mean, I don't know. Do you like... I'll be honest, it's like, this is so cool, but I'm also falling in love with the look of foil when you take the foil off after you've run it through your laminator. And I've discovered that on my laminator, it's perfectly fine. This is something I got from Amazon. It's not a mink machine, but it doesn't need any kind of extra time to heat up. Thanks to, there was someone in Foiling Snobs Club, I think it was Sin, that told me to use parchment paper as a carrier sheet, and it has worked awesome. And since I got good toner in my printer, it works fantastic for all the foiling that I'm doing. I mean, I just did almost 30 birthday cards, I think, and I did all, I just did foil sentiments on them. Actually, I created one on my computer and printed it out, scanned and cut it out with a shadow, and then did the foiling on them, and it's a breeze. It's like if I run out, I just run another set through my laminator. It's awesome. And if you heard anything, that's my hubby because he just got home. It looks like I got all of that embossing melted. This one might need a little bit more. To be quite honest with you, that looks awesome on its own. That could be a card just by itself. Yeah, I know what you mean, Carmen. I have a Scotch laminator that I've had for a while. I got a second one because the feeder part in the back broke, so it wasn't staying up like it needed to be. It was one that you could fold it up, but you had to have it flipped out, and it had to be strong in order steady in order for you to send it through. And the thing broke. So I got another one, and then think it was back in the spring, I was asked by a company to try out their laminator, and they were going to go ahead and just send it to me for free, which was awesome. But it turns out it's a really good laminator. I mean, I really like it. And you can check out it's on my channel. I can let you guys know what it is later. I don't remember the name right now off the top of my head, and it's tucked back in on my desk, so I can't really get to it at the moment. But it's an awesome laminator, and it really does warm up nice and quick, and I haven't had any kind of problems with when it comes to getting the foil done, as long as I'm using the right foil and all of that stuff. This little is that I made did have actually the little sentiments that I've made. These are all perfect. Okay, I mean, I just printed it out on my LaserJet. I created a cut file on my scan and cut them out, and then run them through my laminator. Now I've got a pouch full of them for whenever I need to do birthday cards. Hi Susie, happy to see you here, honey. We're gonna keep on going. I was planning on just doing an hour, but you know, this is gonna take a little bit. This is the longest one of the projects that I was playing with my Arteza markers. So we're gonna go ahead and get this one done. And just for you, let's show you what we've already done. Prior to this, prior to the live stream, I did try out a couple of different things. And what did I do with them? Here's one of the cards that I made. That one was using Arteza markers on the back of the stamp. You know, just do the embossing on one side, turn it over, and do some inking on the back of it. These were done with layering stamps from Hero Arts, and then I was using a stamp set from Colorado and Company and tried out some watercoloring with that. This one takes the longest, and this one is the one that I'm the least good at, but we made this card today. This is going to be putting it on a card with red foil. This is one that I just did that's similar to the other one with the 3 trees, and that's kind of cool. And then now we're doing something similar to this. This time I'm using a stamp set from, what was it? Essentials by Ellen, and it's called Mondo Holly. That was just me talking way too much. And I'm hoping I don't have any problem with this masking tape. Last week I used that purple tape and it pulled right on up. This one is actually just some cheap masking tape from the Dollar Tree. Okay. So first thing what I'm going to do this one because I got to play a little earlier. I got to see what I like that works a little better than what I tried before. I'm going to start off and just give the whole thing a light wash. I'm going to go ahead and do a light color over the whole thing. And the ones that I did earlier, I did all of the green and the red first, and then tried to come back in with the lighter blue. And I was having some trouble getting around in all the little small areas around the leaves because I didn't want to mess up what I already done. So I'm going to go ahead and just go real light over this. And we're going to have green on the leaves, red on the berries. I'm going to go with blue again this time, but I think this time I'm going to do this blue. This blue is kind of a teal. That is just so pretty. And I'm going to just use my Tonic matte as a palette for this. And I've already wet the paper down some, so it shouldn't be a big deal coming. Oh, that's nice. There though. Probably going too fast, but I'm adding enough water on there. It's going ahead and I want it to be darker than put a little. You just keep going until you get the look that you just use my Ranger heat tool to go ahead and dry some of that. So it, first off, it'll dry back and it'll be a little lighter. Then we'll get a chance to work on the rest. But I don't want to use too much heat because I don't want to remelt that embossing powder. You're correct, Carmen. Whenever you're using any kind of water medium, at least what I've found and what I've seen online so far, they do dry back a little lighter. Also, you probably can tell this is extremely warped at the moment because it's wet. And when you're drying it, the warpage should reduce. It should start going flat the drier that it gets. And I don't think that they always dry back completely. They don't get up here. This side you can see it's already going flat. I think you can see that. It's starting to go flat, which is good. I don't remember having done any kind of watercolor when I was a kid, so I had no idea how watercolors were supposed to work. And a few years ago, I went ahead and bought a cheapo set, the sets I used last week, and decided to try them out, and I wasn't putting enough water down to get anything, so it just at all, and I gave up. I hadn't really done much more when it came to watercolor until recently. And it's just that I wanted to try some more things instead of always sticking with the old thing that I had done before. I mean, you guys are like that, right? If I mean, you get real good at a technique, but it gets boring after a while. You want to try some new things. So we've got that part down, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the, and I've got two colors of green in this set. And you saw that earlier. We've got this light color of green. Actually, the tips on the ends show you light and dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and color it in with the lighter color. Get a good block of color down, and then go in with the darker so I can start bringing in those details and such. And we've got quite a few leaves here, and as long as I don't get too close to the berries, I should be good. I'm going to go ahead and just start putting some color down. I'm going to stick closer to the leaves, to the center of the leaves, because I want the focus of all the color to be there instead of on the outside, and have kind of wash out a little bit towards the edge. I also realized this little set that I got last week at Michael's. This round brush is a size 12. I realized earlier when I was trying to color this other one, why it is that Christina worked size. This thing is too big to get into the spots. So what I'm trying to use instead is this angled brush because I can control it a little better. It's not perfect, but now I am thinking that I probably do need to get that other brush. I also got out the water brush that came with it because it's got a smaller tip too, and I should be able to control it better that way too. You see, I'm just putting a little bit of, I'm going to go that way. I'm using it like a regular brush, just dipping it in, because that way I don't have to worry about how much is actually coming out. So I'm basically just wetting the paper around where I want it to go, and then pulling it out from the center where I've got all that extra color. And this part, I'm not really trying to be, you know, too precise in it. Just trying to keep the color inside the lines, because I'm going to go back over it with the darker color as well. And I may go back in with a second layer of this one, the lighter tone, before I do that. Just depends on what it looks like when it starts drying back. Like you guys said, they do tend to dry back lighter. I'm also not going to be doing two areas that are too close together and try to mess up anything. I'm not going to do the berries at all until I get done with all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and start on this one. Again, trying to keep the color closer to the lines that were drawn in the image. Just go pull all of that color out. Water brush. Add too much water on there. From there to here, that section is too small water that I put down. So I brought some of that water over to this other section. Two. Just have to be careful not. I'm getting the stem as well on here. I think I'm going to probably bring in some brown for part of that. But I can some green. It'll just be deepened and it'll be more of a greenish brown instead of a brown. Flip it around and do this other side. Probably going to see that I missed. Yep, I missed a spot. Oh, that worked. I hadn't tried that part before. I just picked up some of the ink, some of the watercolor ink off of the brush, off of the pen with my water brush. So you can use a palette with these, just like regular watercolor, or you can do them direct to paper like what I've been doing. I do have to say that I like the water brush. I had gotten some before. I really didn't play with that much because it didn't... Either I didn't know what I was doing or they just weren't good enough markers. Of course, they are from Recollections, and I do use a lot of Recollection stuff. But it doesn't always... Okay, TR, I'll talk to you later, honey. You have a good night, okay? Anyway, I don't know if I was doing something wrong or if it was just that the markers... So I'm going to have to do a comparison once I practice a little bit more. And you guys are giving me a good opportunity to... This is something I don't think I would have the patience to do on video because I edit so much of it out. There's no way I would be sitting here for an hour on a regular video. Happy that you guys are enjoying playing with me. By the way, I know I had sent out a Facebook and Instagram message, post earlier today. How many of you guys came after seeing that, and did you bring your watercolor medium to play with? Just bringing for that group. You can see that this side it did earlier. It did dry back a bit, but where I put the line, it still stayed a little dark. It did have a little bit of dimension. I really like how that. I'm going to be adding more with that darker green, but that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I want it to look like. Really as worried about which water I'm using, because the water on both of these are pretty much clean. All I've used so far in it was that little bit of watercoloring for you guys tonight. Okay, so at least I know that you're getting the notifications on YouTube. I'm trying a couple different things to see whether or not people are getting my messages, so I really appreciate... I'm grabbing the wrong marker. I really appreciate you letting me know. I think I'm getting a little bit better with my lives, and I think that they're a little bit more structured, and I think it's probably getting a little bit more fun for you guys, and that's really my goal. I want you guys to have fun and enjoy crafting with me, but I really also love for you guys to actually craft with me. I did get one person last week that did the watercoloring along with me, and they sent me a picture of the card. And so I have not posted a blog post to go along with that video yet, but that is in the works, and when I do, I'm going to put a copy of her a photo of her card on that blog post too, so you guys can see what she did. I think she did an awesome job, and I love the fact that she was right there with me. She was one, I'm trying to remember her name off the top of my head right now, but I don't. But she wasn't able to comment on the video. Instead, she was actually just doing the coloring and everything with me. So that I really, really like doing. I'm going to flip it around again. Come back over to the side that is pretty much dry. And I do like that softness of those leaves along with that soft blue background. So might not go in quite as much with this. I'm going to go some though and go in right at the veins of the leaves. They connect in the center. And then I'm just going to pull that out with the brush to give a little bit of tension. Which does have overlapping of, so I need to go add a shadow there. One thing I've noticed about these two colors is one of them is more of a yellow green and the other is blue green. Good. Sticking closely to the center. That one I think I pulled a little too much. Really dark of that blue-green color, but should drop some. What I'm going to try to do each week is when I decide what it is I'm going to do for that video, I'm going to try to go ahead and just send out a post on Facebook and YouTube. Oh, the notification you got, was it saying that the video was here, or was it the one where I was saying I'm going live at 5 o'clock? Because I actually did two. I did one in on the community tab, and I don't know how those notifications come up. I think they're supposed to go to everyone, but again, I haven't been able to test it in any way. I don't know how to test it, know whether or not that works. But I'd love to know how you found out that I was coming on here. Was it just the regular notification saying she's going live in a few minutes, or was it the one saying where I said specifically that I'm going to be doing Arteza watercolor? Well, I'm going to be doing watercolor marker coloring Christmas cards at 5 o'clock. Turning up. Of course, you guys are also distracting me some. So if I mess up, it's all your fault. Joking. Have you guys here to craft with me around my dining room table or something? That would be awesome. Maybe once this is all done, I can do something. What are you having for dinner, Miss Carmen? So since you are saying something about food, I'm assuming you are watching while you cook. Well, I guess that's a good reason not to be watercoloring time, you know? Here is to bring in the shadow. I do like the variation that darker blue-green creates on. It's interesting. Oh my goodness. You know what we have most of the time? Well, the way that the food goes in my house is my husband will cook some kind of meat, you know, whether it's pork chops or steak or whatever. That's day one. On day two, it usually goes in eggs. We wind up having like a Mexican burrito thing half the time. Last night it was sausage. It was sausage and egg with cheese and a tortilla. That was our dinner last night. And depending on what he decided to pick up at Sam's, it might be dinner again tonight. Okay, so now I'm coming back over and doing the same thing on this side. And what's neat is both sides wind up looking very different from one another, because you get to practice on one side and decide, okay, I think I like it. I think I want to try it a little bit different on the other, because you're doing both, basically two of the same image. At least that's what happens with me. I mean, I like doing mass producing of cards, and when I do that, it's like the first one is, that's okay. I liked it at the time, kind of thing. But by the time I get done, the last one, it's like, oh my god, that is awesome. That is how I get most of my practice in. Is doing the same thing over and over and over. The birthday cards that I just finished up. And it's a real simple design, but I absolutely love it, and I'm sure that the folks that are getting the cards are going to too. I need to start working on my Christmas card list and start mailing out some of these cards that I've been. Because to be honest, mail kind of sucks right now. Had a couple of people in a swap that I've been doing over on Facebook group, Crafting with Debbie, that they were expecting the cards that they sent to have gotten to the recipient by now, and they're not going to be there probably for. You are so right, Ms. Carter. It is fast and easy. Oh, these are looking really nice. I do. This is going. I want to go. That part is for shadow. I think I may have to invest in another set of but then my Spectrum will get mad at me. I know that with some of the companies, like I remember Catherine Pooler was kind enough to share this on her channel a while back. They were having trouble getting inks to be able to ship them out. So I think some of the companies, it depends on who the manufacturers are, because I seem to remember from years ago hearing that most things that you buy are actually only manufactured. Oh, I need to invest in some more of these Arteza markers. Because I really am liking the way that this is turning out. It looks so cool. For that, I think I do need to practice a bit more. But for most products, from what I understand, they're manufactured in general, not everything, but for a lot of them, they're basically manufactured by about like 4 or 5 companies in the United States. And of course we've got everything that gets manufactured outside the country and assembled here, because a lot of things like anything that has to do with electronics, everything is made in China and shipped here and then might be reassembled here by a manufacturing plant, but a lot of it is done at sea. That's just the way that, which is one reason why we can afford to buy audio equipment and that sort of thing. If everything was made here, it would cost a ton. Okay, now I'm going to go on to the little red berries. And for this, I noticed on the last one that the first time I went down on it and watered them out, it got very pink. So I'm not sure how much water I'm going to use on these, right? I'm just going to go ahead and put decent coverage of red on all of these, and then I'll go ahead and blend them out a little bit and then go back over time. Because these are going to be, I want the berries to be red, but we also want to have a little bit of dimension, a little shading, right? I can't believe I haven't been using a paper towel for any of this today. This time around. And just coloring in those little bits. I think I'm staying pretty much inside the. That's good. It's one of the nice things about embossing, right? And the fact that they are surrounded by that gold, so that you're gonna be able to see what they are anyway, even if I mess up on it. And I think I put right about the right, well, just about the right red down. before coming back in with the water brush. Probably I'm going to need to go back in a second time with do it all over again just to be on the safe side, but we'll see how this side looks while I'm working on the other, and this one has a chance to dry. Oh, I really like those berries. Now that is starting to look good. So I'm just going in and putting a bunch of this red marker down. Mostly filling up all of the area inside those little circles for the berries, but leaving a little bit of white space, or blue space in this case, because we did that blue wash. Let's go back in with the water brush. Get the difference. So it just winds up making a little bit of a lighter color where I went back over with the water brush. I really like the way things are turning. Almost looks like I intentionally made a highlight. Coming back in with this tells me that I did miss some other places with green. Back in with some green. I think I'll just go in with the light for these different areas. It looks like I missed a little bit. It's a little bit too bright, so it does need some of to dry. And I think I missed a leaf on this side anyway, so now I'm going to go ahead and go back and get this one that I missed. That blue-green. Some more. This side is drying. A little bit more of that. And then bring that out. That looks pretty. And I think it's mostly dry, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit it with the heat tool real quick just to try to finish some of that up so I can go ahead and cut down the two panels. I am going to have to do this more often. The last time I did this type of watercoloring was right before Thanksgiving, I think. Oh, I take that back. It was probably in early September and sometime in October, but it was in preparation for fall-themed cards, which I didn't do a whole lot of. And that one turned out so pretty, too. I'm going to say that that is about it. So let's go ahead. Tape. Let's see. This tape, apparently Dollar Tree tape is perfect for doing this because it's not messing with my paper. Looks like it is tackier than the purple tape, but not nearly as tacky as regular masking tape would be. So that works out good when you're wanting to use it for holding down your watercolor panel. Like you guys, I have had trouble ripping my watercolor paper. I tried to take it off the board. Okay. So I don't get any water over. Okay, so the panel is 7.5. If I cut it at 3 and should be right about in. Is that right? Seven and a half divided by 2 is 3 and 3. There. And I have 2 cards. Now I just need to trim off the white space. Just cut that one and cut that one. Right. Panel is going to be 3.5 by 5. That'll leave a nice white border around it when I. And card bases. And I know you guys have seen me do this a million times, but go ahead and talk you through it again. So I've got a sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock cut in half at 5.5, and then I score 4.25. And then I flip it over so that the scored part is on the outside when I do my fold. And the reason we do this is because we've already broken down the fibers of the paper, and this helps to prevent the paper from cracking. So not always 100%, but it does definitely help. I think I only get like maybe 1 or 2 card bases that crack over, I don't know, a few months. Out of all the cards that I make, I only get it a few times where the card actually cracks. That's usually if I'm not using heavyweight cardstock like I tend to do. Okay, so now we have 2 card bases right. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this up on some foam tape. Mostly because since we are doing watercolor, it does warp some. It's not bad on these, thank goodness, but it does do a bit of warping. So I want to stay real well and take care of any kind of warping that might pop. I go ahead and burnish all of that tape down. Makes it a little easier to remove it. I'm gonna leave a little bit of a tail on the 2 on the outside. That way it a little bit of space. Makes it a little easier for me to position it because I to something other than adhesive. That's what our last card's gonna look like. The stamping isn't perfect, but this turned out really pretty. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one. And I'm probably gonna go back and add a couple of little gems, like cards. So there we go. Let me pull out everything that we've made tonight and the stuff that I made previously. I think I actually like it better with the gold than I do with the white. would say that this has been a pretty productive card making session. What do you guys think? And you are right, Carmen, when it comes to getting them even when you use the scoreboard. Are you talking about getting them put down on the paper or scoring your card bases? With scoring the card bases, even if I score it, I go ahead and still line it up on the edge, and it's almost always off by just a touch because the paper's, for some reason, 8.5-inch wide paper isn't actually 8.5 inches. Always a little bit off. And I'm using some Strathmore watercolor paper. I will go ahead and put links to everything that I used in this video down in the description box later on tonight, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. I'll also have some affiliate links on there, so it would be much appreciated, you know, if you decide you want to get any of those, if you use one of my links, because it does help me to buy more crafting supplies so that I can continue making these videos for you guys. But I think this is going to be it for tonight. Did you guys have any questions? Anything else that you wanted to ask while I'm here with you? I'd also love to know which one of these which one of the cards that we did tonight did you best? I'm thinking this may be. I don't know. I love that one. I love them all. I have to admit it. Oh, and thank you, Carmen. You go ahead and eat your dinner if you haven't already eaten it while we were here chatting. So this one's your favorite. I really like that one too. I think it turned out really, really well. I wasn't sure about I was almost thinking that I needed to use a matting layer, but I think that light blue is just the right amount of color. That turned out so nice. I'm gonna have to make more of these. Okay, guys, well, you guys have a wonderful evening, and come back again next week. I am doing these videos, the live streams, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And I also put up at least one other video during the week. The plan is to do 2 more a week. But in November, I kind of slacked. I think it was because I was trying to get 3 videos for a hop done and try to plan for my in-laws coming into town, and I just got overwhelmed. So I do apologize for that. But the plan is to have at least 3 videos, including the live stream, every week. So I will see you guys next week. Be sure to bring your crafting supplies, and I will try to get out the announcement as to what I'm going to be making or what I'm going to be doing sometime by around 1-ish that day, okay? So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great one.